Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Guys, when we come back in the next segment, I'm going to finish up with Buckley, and then we're going to get into what I haven't covered yet in detail. Hundreds reported killed after U.S. bombs ISIS position in Iraq. They were poised to take the Erbil in the autonomous region of Kurdistan. I'm going to explain what's really going on here. Guys, print me the Airlift of Evil, MSNBC, BBC articles from 2001. I want to just show people that there. This is totally staged, totally fake. We're going to break that down. Buckley, continuing, and you're going to tell us more of the stories in the next segment, and then finish up with your big picture. You want to get into the whole refugee situation and decipher that. But some of the other stories of what you saw in Guatemala.
Well, you know, there was, beyond what I experienced personally, and I can only tell those stories from my perspective, I know that there was a lot of fear in Guatemala regarding recriminations and different people who would attack other people, and then just straight up...
People would tattle, though, to send the government at you? Those stories?
Absolutely.
They tried to claim your ham radio stuff was terrorist or something?
Yeah, my dad had been a ham radio since he was young. He was actually...
Youngest guy in Texas ever. I think in the country, actually.
Exactly. He was one of the youngest people to ever get a ham radio license. And obviously, he operated a ham radio down there where they would do what's called a phone patch, where someone from up here could call someone with a ham radio and relay it down to him. And so people could talk internationally on the phone. This was before the internet, before international phone lines even went down to third world countries like Guatemala or were reliable. But yeah, that's true. People would say that he was working for the CIA, or they would say that he was working for the other side, and it was just a very convoluted thing. And the government literally came and confiscated all of his equipment and made him shut down his ham radio operation. You know, and he was really just an enthusiast. He would collect CQ cards, which is basically when ham radio people talk to each other, they send each other a card to prove that it happened. And he had it from all over the world: Africa, the Faroe Islands, Pitcairn Islands, which was a very that was a really cool one. So he talked to people all around the world doing that.
Isn't Pitcairn where the bounty went?
Exactly. That's the Mutiny on the Bounty place. So what that really underscores is that even when you have a society like that, and you have a government that is literally, you know, all-encompassing and militarized to the hilt, that when people don't like you or they have any sort of personal grudge, or there's a bad circumstance, that, you know, they can make up stories. They can say that you were doing this and doing that, and it's already starting to happen here in the United States. You know, there's lots of recriminations that can fly around, especially when there is... you know, you have a government that is really militarized, and so that was an interesting example. I didn't even really thought about that.
And once governments get like this, it always makes it explode and get worse. It doesn't make it get better. And the war on drugs is fueling it as well.
Absolutely. One of the stories that two of the stories I wanted to tell, and they're interesting from two perspectives, is that my brother, who just passed away earlier this year, was actually kidnapped twice in Guatemala when he was a young child. And the reason why I said it's from two perspectives is because the first time that he was kidnapped by criminals who wanted a ransom. They basically saw a white kid that they could snatch up, and they took him away, and they demanded a ransom. Luckily, we got him back, you know, and... the second time that my brother was kidnapped was for political reasons, oddly enough. We were familiar with some people that were in the government there in Guatemala, and he was kidnapped, and basically they were demanding the release of some prisoners that they had for his release. And the story goes is that they made the exchange, but then they followed the people back to where their safe house was, and then they attacked the safe house, and when they busted into the safe house, they found plans to basically attack the neighborhood that we lived in which was full of military people and lots of different, middle to upper class people.
I want to hear about this. Tell the whole story when we get back, because it just gets wilder and wilder. The heaven that is Central and South America. This is Alex Jones for InfoWarsLife.com. The latest in preparedness is now here. An electrically stabilized colloidal silver solution that can be added to both your home cabinet and preparedness pack alike. Concentrated to 30 parts per million in what has been dubbed the survival silver solution. The new InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver is the answer for you and your family. And it's entirely free of toxic artificial additives that are loaded into many products. The InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Silver is so powerful that it is concentrated into a 2-ounce bottle and is not recommended for extended continual use. This is not a low-grade formula. We are working with one of the top laboratory manufacturers in the United States to bring you the best form of colloidal silver using electrical processes within a base of deionized water for your preparedness storage or your home kitchen. Purchase your bottle of InfoWarsLife.com Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver today and find other amazing supplements at InfoWarsLife.com.
I'm David Hall, founder of Diamond Gusset, where we are proud of our 100% grown and sewn American-made jeans. Whether you're out for dinner, working on the farm, or on the road, Diamond Gusset Jeans offers a full spectrum of style and sizes for any occasion. Our loyal customers enable us to continue sponsoring Liberty Media outlets. Use promo code FREEDOM to receive a 15% discount at Gusset.com. In Liberty, David Hall, Diamond Gusset Jean Company.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put 2 and 2 together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds, is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled INFIDEL bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. Most people know that iodine deficiency has been a crisis around the world. Iodine is key to so many of the body's functions, especially the thyroid. I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group. You now know it as Survival Shield, true nascent iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating, and the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox Special at InfoWarsLife.com.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
Coming up in about 5 minutes, I will break down the latest on Obama supposedly attacking IS or ISIS. We told you that was coming for a while. We're going to break it all down. Coming up here in just a few minutes. But first off, going back to my cousin, Buckley Hammond, who works at Infowars.com, you'll see his name on camera and in production and in graphics and music on my first film, America Destroyed by Design, and the next 4 films as well. And he's just back at the Infowars base here. 22 years ago, he would help me because he had a recording studio and stuff and was already a successful DJ by the time he was out of high school. He would help me record commercials to then send a radio station and say, hey, I want to come there and cut commercials for you. And they'd laugh at me and stuff, but a few years later, they weren't laughing anymore. And I would sit there and do mock radio shows. And then I went and started doing Access Television. The rest is history. But here you are. So the first 11 years of your life, growing up in Guatemala, and so your dad's down there as a school administrator. And he also, you guys bought some property, were growing coffee. And a lot of his buddies had moved down there after Vietnam. So there was a lot of government people there as well. And even, I know, flew some planes for some folks' other job because he was a pilot. And so you're in this government district start back over with these stories of how wondrous Guatemala was then, and then now what it's devolved into even worse.
Well, the second story of my brother being kidnapped. Basically, he was kidnapped by the guerrilleros, which are the insurgent, left-wing military insurgents, and their plan is that they wanted to have some of their cronies released from prison that had been captured. So that was what their demands were. And when they did the exchange with Peter and the prisoners, the intelligence services or something followed the guerrilleros back to where their safe house was, and then they assaulted the safe house, and they came in. They assaulted the safe house, and when they went in, they saw all these plans laid out on a table. I mean, it's so ridiculous. It sounds like a movie, but they busted in, and they found all these plans laid out on the table where there was an assault and an attack that was just imminently about to happen in the neighborhood that we lived in. And so basically they were going to come back around and capture a lot more people. It was almost like they got too greedy. And so they basically... They marshaled a bunch of people and came into our neighborhood, and all the military was there, and they were hiding behind our walls. In Guatemala, you have like 4 to 6 foot walls around everybody's house, and the assault happened. And literally while we were inside of our house and we were lying on the ground, so we were staying below the bullets. There was a big assault that happened in my backyard. The insurgents tried to come in, and the military rebuffed them. And I mean, there were a lot of casualties. I was young, and it was really chaotic, and I can't really remember it the way that you would remember a scene from a movie or something like that. But I do remember the whole experience and the circumstance. So the bottom line is that for a number of different reasons, whether it was criminal or whether it was political, the turmoil in Guatemala it was very vicious back in those days. But in one sense, it was sort of directed. It was directed, towards one side to the other, and the people were kind of in the middle. And now that has devolved into this absolute, brutal anarchy where people are just running around, murdering other people, and there's all kinds of criminal behavior in the context of drugs and power and.
You were talking about the article earlier, and we put it on screen. Mainstream news article about 900 dead bus drivers in 1 year.
Exactly, and
don't just take the wallet off the bus driver, just shoot him in the head.
Well, I think that a lot of what that is they charge extortion. So if you are a person that can't protect yourself, they don't have the ability to have guns in Guatemala because just like Mexico, they don't have the Second Amendment.
I told the story of the Mexican army pulling over the tour bus and taking all the guy's money.
Exactly.
And him getting on crying.
So if you can't protect yourself, this is the...
But if I don't want to live like that, I'm a racist. Exactly.
This is a perfect example of why the Second Amendment is important. Because if you can't protect yourself...
But these people come up, get in the Democratic Party, and are voting 90+% of the time to take my guns. On record.
Absolutely.
And the Mexican TV says take our guns. I mean, this is outrageous. And we'll turn them all in under political correctness. I'm telling you.
Right. Well,
this country is a joke now.
It's an ideology that's clearly being pushed by those that want to control you. Because if you have the capability to defend yourself, then you won't be robbed. I mean, that's just as clear as day. And if people, they always say, an armed society is a polite society. Well, what you have down there is the absolute inverse. It's a savage, brutal society with, zero respect for life and zero compassion for other people. What's interesting to me is that, when we're talking about all of this because of the whole open border circumstance, right?
And the main group now is Guatemalans.
Exactly.
Or, as Biden calls them, our children.
And, it's Guatemala, and it's El Salvador, and it's Honduras, and those are all the...
hell pits.
They're all the poorest, worst circumstances in Central America. And, probably in this hemisphere, literally. I mean, there's some bad stuff that happens down in South America, but it is utterly lawless. And what is happening, to me, that is so... It's incredulous. I would say incredible, but I was totally incredulous when I heard what was happening with them allowing all these people to come across. And to me, the issue is that the liberals are going to paint this as, oh, let's be compassionate to these people. Let's, they're just children that are running from a war-torn circumstance, and that they're, that they're refugees. Well, in a sense, yes, that's true, but this has been going on for 36 years. It's not like it just started. So to me, that compassion rings utterly hollow because they're only saying that now in the context of the circumstance of these borders being open and they're letting all these thugs with tattoos all over their faces that would kill your kid for no reason.